Welcome back to the Gup Shup podcast. I'm your host, Bhavya,
I'm Anjali.
and today we're going to be talking about Desi side hustles. So I think let's first of all talk about what our side hustles are, and then we'll go into all the different ways the Desi community plays into them and how we approach them, and maybe you'll get some value out of this because maybe you're trying to do a side hustle and you'll be like, look at these two idiots. I can do it better.
Or maybe they'll get scared
Yeah, we'll
because of the stories.
Yeah. Okay, so first of all, I do videography.
I do dancing. I
It's just-
teach,
yeah.
like I have a dance studio and I teach kids and teenagers and adults.
And overall, I'd say our audiences are mostly in the Desi community. Like we're not limiting ourselves to it, but just the way life works out, it ends up happening that a lot of our audience ends up becoming, people that are Desi.
But I think the difference is I've been in this side hustle for way longer and I've seen all the ups and a lot of downs.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot more experiences, and Bhavya is going to represent the people who are just kind of still getting into it.
Yeah. So I guess a bit of context, like you've been doing this it's been at least 6 years, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was there from the beginning. Like I've seen how like she started off from nothing and built her from the ground up. And it was really inspiring. For me, I've been making videos for a long time, but the process of actually like selling it as a service and trying to make some money off of it, it's been like a year for me, a year and a half, 2 years maybe.
Whoa. I think it's been only a year.
Only a year?
It's been recent.
Yeah, that's true. It feels like longer.
I thought you started, what was your first ever project?
That I got paid for?
Yeah.
It was like the commercial for the Garba event. I did like the drone video.
So it's been less than a year.
Less than a year. Oh yeah.
Because the Garba was in, yeah. You did that I think in July or August.
Yeah, that's true.
2 years.
It feels like because I've been making videos for a long time, and
Sorry, that was my arm.
okay, yeah, I've been making videos for a long time, but I just started getting into the business of it because I realized that if you want to keep doing stuff like that you like, at some point you have to consider getting some income from it so you can keep it going, and then you can try new projects, buy new equipment, and just have more fun with it. In an ideal world, you just be able to do whatever you want, however long you want to do it for. But reality, it's nice to get some income from it.
We don't live in an ideal world.
No, we've learned that from the hard way. But so I'll be presenting the newbie perspective. You're more the.
I'll present the wise old woman perspective.
You're very young. You're nowhere close to a woman. That's not a mean. You're nowhere close to an old woman.
No more. Did you say nowhere close to a woman?
Yeah. Because like whenever I call you a woman, you're like, no, I'm a girl.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'll give a wise old girl perspective.
The contradiction.
That's wait.
Okay, and let's get right into it. First of all, we have a couple of questions that we should actually talk about.
Yeah, and while we answer it, like all of the segments can be very focused on just like, how our experiences are working in the Desi community.
Yeah.
Right. So we asked ChatGPT to generate some questions for us for today's episode so that both of us can answer it. I'm going to start with the one that I know we have a lot of content to talk about. This topic's going to be about pricing and value perception. So the question is, many Desis are known for negotiating or expecting friends' discounts. Have you faced challenges with people undervaluing your effort? And how have you set boundaries while keeping your community engaged? So I can start.
I think you have a lot of material.
I have so much. I'll start a little bit and then you can do it.
For sure.
We'll just go back and forth. So I still remember. So when I teach dance class, the fees that I charge for students, so like it's minimal, like it's minimum wage pretty much, and it's my time that's being valued. And I know when I first started my dance studio, there were I had a couple of incidents where usually the way it works is I let students have their first class as a free trial class, and then the rest of the classes they have to pay. But I know when I was starting off, I really needed more students, so I had like a 1 month deal kind of thing where I was like, for 1 month you actually you pay like for a package for a month worth of class, and it's actually less if you do the math than minimum wage. And I remember I had the student didn't stay, like I don't have the student anymore, but I remember I had a student whose parents like put her through it for that package. And she came for her trial class, like there's still a trial class included in it. And then she had all these other classes for the month for free. And then when the month started ending, then the mother, I remember she came inside because I teach out of my home, and she came in and she was like, Anjali, kind of, because we started off with the 1 month package, like with like extremely discounted. Can we not just continue it? I was like, I remember I had a conversation. I was like, look, that price I was giving you, it's so cheap, right? Like it's lower than minimum wage. I'm like, I need to like, I can't, and I've made it clear from the start that that was like a limited time offer kind of thing, like only for 1 month. Or 1 month is over, it has to be now back to normal price, which is minimum wage, which is still cheap.
Yeah.
And then I remember she started arguing with me, like she got mad in my own home. She started arguing with me, like raising her voice, and she was like, accusing me, and she was like, "That's such a ripoff." She's like, "You are overcharging. That's too expensive." And I was like, "I'm also like, I think I was in high school that time. This was really early on. I was like, I'm a high school student, right? Like it's not." And I remember she was like, "It's just dance. Like you're charging so much, right? And you're teaching out of your home." I'm like, "Yes, you're right. I'm teaching out of my home. If I was renting a studio, I would charge more
Yeah.
to cover those costs. Sure, I'm teaching over out of home. There's no rent for me to pay, but it's also like you're paying for my time, all my years of of training. So my parents spent so much money putting me through like years of dance class and getting me to the point where now I can teach kids. So it's all those years of training. It's my time. It's costumes. Like I'm using that money to get costumes, right? It's doing all these like registration fees for like kids' performances sometimes. So they all come into play. I'm like, you also got to realize like I'm not doing this work, so 100% of my profits can go back into like my dance studio. Like I need to pay off certain things, especially now, like when I have loans and everything.
Yeah.
And I don't think people realize that. They think, like she get all this free money. I'm like, where do you think this is going? Like, it's not funding like other stuff. It's funding things that I need in life, right? Like,
Yeah, it's not like ice cream and candy that you're buying with it.
yeah, like it's my only job.
Yeah.
So I remember, it's like frustrating. And she was not the only one. I had like a couple more, I think one more parent also make an issue about my pricing. And they're like, this is really, really expensive. And I was like, okay. And I remember I had to, it's the question was like, how do you set your boundary? And I think setting the boundary is you can't just give in.
Yeah.
You can't give in to this. Like you can't be like, because sometimes, especially like when it comes to like Indian aunties or uncles, like I've never had like, this experience with uncles. I don't know if this is maybe because I haven't met those type of uncles yet, but usually the dads of all the kids I teach, they're very like chill. No, just tell me where, when do I have to drop her, where do I have to drop her, where I have to e-transfer, where I have to pay in cash, blah, blah, blah. Like they're like, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's the moms. I found the moms, especially in the dance, like in my dance studio, who tend to like to bargain. None of my current students are like this, by the way. Like I want to make that clear.
They've survived this long because they're not like that.
They survived this long because they're not like that. But like like them trying to ask, and I remember the way I dealt with it, it's like I didn't want to be pushed over, especially since I was new. Like it's so easy when you're starting off a side hustle. You're so desperate for clients, right? You want to have customers that somebody's going to try bargaining for you. And if you push over, one thing I noticed is like if you push over, then it's really hard for you to get back from that. Because once you do it, then that person might refer their friends to you, but then they'll tell their friends that this is the price she gave me.
Yeah.
And now you're stuck like getting paid less than what you should be getting paid. Mm-hmm. Or it's like your value also decreases in the eyes of the person who bargained with you, because then you're kind of accepting defeat that yes, my time, my value, like my time and my skills are not as valuable for me to be able to fight for what I believe was right. So for me, I'm more of like a straightforward. And I remember I told those two parents, I was like, I'm sorry, like I'm very adamant, like this is it. This is all I can do. But you're more than welcome to take your child to a different dance studio. And if they have better prices, great. And I know I've done my research on all the other studios in Edmonton. Please.
Yeah.
Like either there's like a few that might have the same price as me. The rest are way more expensive. Mm-hmm. So if you thought that was expensive, like good luck.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I was a dance instructor that was very accommodating to all the students. Mm-hmm. You're allowed to miss classes if you need to, right? I'm not going to charge you just because you missed a class, which is also not like a great thing for me to do, but still, like you miss classes, it's okay. Because some studios, they will take the kids' fees like 3 months prior, like the full fees.
And they just, yeah.
And if your kid misses it, if they're sick, they broke a leg, whatever, you're not getting a refund for that class. So I was really accommodating, and I also like accommodate all the students' times. What time works for you? After a few months, if their students' mom's telling me like, she can't come at this class timing anymore, can we like move her to a different one? I'll be like, sure. Like you're getting all that, and you're also complaining about minimum wage, like paying it.
It doesn't make sense. And honestly, this podcast is going to be a lot of me just learning from her because she's done this. Like, I can't exaggerate or emphasize how much she's gone through a lot with this kind of stuff. And I'm actually really inspired by how she approaches the idea of like business and doing like selling a skill you have and doing it the right way. And because I'm new to this, I take a lot of her stories and I try to apply them to my own situation. So I actually remember you told me when I was taking like, how do I price my video making services? And I was like, should I just be like one free video and then you can decide if you want to pay it later for like future work? And you're like, no, because what's going to end up happening is a lot of people are just going to come to you, take that free video, and then you'll just be left with like a lot of free work they're doing. And I don't know if maybe it's different because the
I
dance,
still do a free trial.
yeah. But like you warn me about the consequences of like don't focus too much on like the free stuff and like really reducing your value to the point where you box yourself into this really low value package of
Because I think
whatever.
it's a little different, right? Because if you do a free trial class, I'm able to connect with the kids. So the kids want to come back to me. So that's where parents. But for you, like, that's why I feel like with the video, like, how do you know that your client won't get one free video from you and then go to the next new beginner videographer and also get a free trial video from him and then her and then him and then her?
I think you're right. You didn't say exactly don't do free videos, but like, you're talking about like the philosophy behind offering it.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I still think it's a valid thing to do, but you have to do it right. There has to be like the implication of I'm doing this one for free, not because I think it's going to be like, everyone's going to take advantage of me, because I also want to make new connections. And it's easier to make a new connection if you just go out there and do something for free.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, I actually like making videos. So it's actually not that big of a hit for me. Like, it's not like I'm not giving away a product for free. I'm going out there, I'm having fun, I'm using my camera, I'm doing something that I like doing. And at the same time, I'm making a connection. So what was the original question even? Like pricing? Was it?
Yeah, like, what's your experience? Like, have you had experience with someone cheaping out on you or?
Yeah. Well, not cheaping. I'm not going to say cheaping out, but people expect discounts for certain applications. I'm not going to name names, obviously, but there's a certain, you can't let people get too many discounts off of you because, like you said, it ends up becoming a slippery slope where it's like you offer a one time discount and that becomes your new regular rate.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, the fact is that not all clients are going to work with all people. Like you have, as much as a client looks at you and judges you on how good your work is, you have to judge the client and see if they're a good fit for you as well.
Yeah.
And it's totally, the one quote I have is that no deal is better than a bad deal. It's totally fine to leave something on the table than accept something at like like accept something that's not worth for you.
That's the thing. Like, I think in Desi communities, like, once you start taking a stand for yourself, especially when it comes to pricing, that's when people start viewing you as arrogant, or they start putting bad reviews. And it's not just me that's dealt with this. Like, for instance, there's like, for instance, a photographer I know personally, and I know he's dealt with this a lot. Like, he's very public about it, which I like because I see everything, like his opinions posted online, and I fully agree with him. And it's because I believe from what I've seen, he also goes through the similar situation as a photographer where people are just asking for discounts, right? Or they're like, dude, they're like, where they sees brown, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's get a discount. And it's like, that's like kind of like what the question was saying, like, kind of, we're just like friends, we're from the same community, right? So that's where it gets frustrating, especially like, photography and videography, like you're actually paying, like you're getting photos from a very pricey camera or video camera, and you're paying for that, you're paying for their time, you're paying for maybe studio time if you're doing it at the studio. You're also paying for editing, like the hour cycle behind editing and uploading.
It's a lot, yeah.
It's a lot. So like I find it pretty crazy asking for a discount for photography. Yes, if it's like insane, like I've gone through that process on the other side where I'm getting photos taken, and sometimes I've seen like some prices that are crazy. But this photographer friend of mine, I know like their prices extremely reasonable, and I find it shocking that they're still struggling with this. And what happens is, if you stand your ground and you're like, I'm not giving a discount, I'm sorry, then that person goes on Google reviews and writes a bad review about you.
Yeah, at the same time, you got to cut your losses at some point because if once you do get that discount, it's a slippery slope. So you got to pick your evil at that point. And not I don't want to say evil because that makes it sound like one thing's better than the other. You're
Poison, pick your poison.
Pick your poison. Yeah, you got to pick your poison. And I'm leaning more towards the side of like no discounts because what is a discount really? Is a discount saying make it cheaper because I asked?
Yeah.
Like, is there any reason for making it like, are you going to be like using less studio time? Are you going to be using a lower quality camera? Are you going to make me spend less time in editing? Like, why is it going to be cheaper? Why is it going to be cheaper for me?
Like I understand bargaining, like when you go traveling, right? Because then you bargain because you bargain at tourist traps where you know they're really like upping the price just because you're a tourist, where a local would be getting that at a cheaper price.
Yeah.
Like that makes sense, right? But if it's a service, um, just like bargaining is just too much, especially if you're bargaining like a crazy amount. Like if it's like, you know, like I don't know, if it's like a $500 service and you're asking for $50 off, like that seems okay-ish.
Yeah.
But like still, it's just you're undermining that person's value and skill and expertise by asking for a cheaper discount.
I think maybe it's also the fact that depends on the thing you're offering. For like video or like photos, all the client sees at the end is a file. They see the file and that's all they see. So they're like, I paid how many dollars for this MP4 file? And it just doesn't compute. Like all the work that goes into it doesn't register the client's head.
Yeah, they think I spent $200 for a 2-minute video. That's crazy. But that's also like that 2-minute video probably took like 6 hours of like work.
Yeah. And honestly, I understand from a client's perspective, they don't care how much time it took to actually make the video. What's the video worth to them? And then it comes to like, what are you actually selling, and is it worth to the client you're selling to? Because if you're selling videos to people that don't actually care that much about videos, you're better off just not selling videos, which is like, I'm still at the beginning stages, obviously. So there's been doubts I've had. It's like, are my videos even worth selling to anybody? I have like a consistent client right now, so it's pretty good. But there's always a case of like, who would actually pay for this, right?
Yeah.
And it's a question you just have to keep answering yourself by putting yourself out there and seeing who actually comes up to you.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if once you start like weeding out all of the clients that are like under like they're, you know, asking for discounts and trying to be a little cheap financially, then you're kind of left with, it's like, you know how they say like when you go through university, your friend circle tightens up, but it's because you let go of all of the people don't matter or aren't close enough, aren't your true friends, and you get a few, like very little, a few, but high quality friends. And it's similar in business. You know, you weed out all the bad clients, and then you get a few long term high quality clients. Like my dance, like I have some students who've been dancing for now, like 4 or 5 years, right? Already.
Yeah.
I have a student who keeps dancing since she first joined, and it's been 6 years. Like she's been dancing since my studio started, so 6 years. But those are like your high quality clients, or like students for me. I don't call them clients. Clients are the parents, but like students. So
you got to kind of go through like all the what's it called, separating the wheat from the chaff.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like the chaff is a part of the wheat that you don't eat. That's all I know. So you got to separate the parts you don't eat from the parts you do eat. I'm not saying eat your clients, but like you got to go through all the all the hard parts of the process where people are going to like discount you. They're going to, question you to get to the high quality. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to find those high quality clients like right off the bat, because you don't have a reputation. You don't have any, like, people hire who they trust.
Yeah.
If you don't have enough of a backing in terms of your portfolio, how are they going to trust you? And if you don't get out there enough, again, how are they even going to know who you are? So you have to kind of take some of those like low quality clients in order to get to the high quality ones. Once you do get to the high quality ones, I think it's like a win-win both ways, because they know the value of what you're offering, you know the value of what you're offering, you can agree on a price, and you get the work done.
Do you want to hear another outrageous example?
I do, yeah.
So now it's not about students and parents in terms of dance community. It's about people hiring dance performances. And I know you've heard these rants from me before. There's, especially in, okay, I don't know about especially in Edmonton, but at least in Edmonton, I'm going to target Edmonton here. Like I've been reached out a few times to, like, for inquiries about dancing at private events. So private events like weddings, engagements, birthday parties, like private community, like private cultural event, like for a specific community. And you'd be shocked like how many times I've been asked, like, what are your price rates? But before that, they'll be like, what's your price rate? We want a 30-minute performance, right? And I'm like, okay. So like for 5 minutes, I think the price itself, I would charge $250 for a 5-minute performance,
which I think is very cheap. Like I think that's
but selling. People hear that and they're like, whoa, $250 for just 5 minutes. Now for a 30-minute performance, imagine 30-minute performance is easily going to be $1,000. And then I've had people like yell at me over the phone because they're like, that's crazy. Like, why is it so expensive? It's just 30 minutes. I'm like, you don't realize, like, right now, just like we prepared like an 8-minute dance performance.
Ooh.
That took 2 months. 2 months for an 8-minute dance performance, right? A 30-minute dance performance, if you do the math, that might take like 7 months of practice.
Yeah, and also it gets more complicated the longer it gets. It's not just this plus this plus this. It's like this plus this plus this, and then you add another whole factor to it.
And now, like, imagine you're like sprinting on a treadmill for 30 minutes straight,
Yeah.
right? Or like jogging, at least, maybe not sprinting, but jogging. That's a lot of stamina you need. And then, yeah, like you need to practice for that long. You have to make the choreography, which is going to take even
You
longer.
remember all of it.
You got to make the music, mix the music, right? Yeah, you got to remember all of it, costumes, all of that. Like, obviously, it's going to be $1,000 plus, right? Yeah. And I have people, like, usually the go-to for people for private events I notice in Edmonton is they want a 30-minute performance. I've only done that once, ever. It was so terrible. Yeah. And it was that time I didn't even have a group. It was just me and another girl. And I remember after the performance, like she broke down in tears. Our parents were like throwing like water on our faces because we were like on the verge of passing out.
Yeah.
And it was just so bad. And one thing people need to realize is if you're asking for a 30-minute performance, I think they're better suited to ask 3 different groups for 10-minute performances because that's a lot to ask for. And some groups can do 30-minute performances, but just be ready to pay a lot.
Yeah.
Because they think it's just 30 minutes and then they're done. And that's $1,000 out of her, more than $1,000 out of her pocket. But they need to realize how many months of like work goes into it.
Yeah.
It's very, very long.
Also, I don't know. It might be a problem on their end too, because they're asking for 30 minutes, but do they really need 30 minutes? Like, who's going to sit through a dance performance for 30 minutes straight?
Well, it's because they're trying to fill in their entertainment.
So they're approaching the problem in the wrong way. Like, if they're trying to fill up their itinerary, instead of blocking out these huge 30-minute segments for dance, there's got to be a better strategy. Because like 5 minutes of a dance performance is like a good, nice number, right?
Well, that's their problem.
That's true.
Right. Like that's not what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about is when I still get these phone calls and text messages, right, where people are asking and requesting for 30-minute dance performances. And I truly want to know if there's any studio in Edmonton that actually says yes to these, because I doubt it. That's a lot of work. Unless you have like enough groups that can like simultaneously prepare like dances. Yeah. Sure. Like then it would work. But also, does it matter? Regardless, you still got to pay.
Yeah.
So that's just another thing. And then they start arguing. And I still remember there's one lady, this one Indian auntie, I didn't know who she was. I don't even remember who like her name, but she called me one time when I was at home. And she was like, Anjali? And I was like, yeah. And then she's like, oh my God. And then she spent 15 minutes in the beginning just buttering me. She was like, oh my God, I've heard so much about you. Like, my daughter is your biggest fan. And all these ladies, and she started like naming ladies that I knew. She's like, they all talk about how amazing you are in your dance,
which is true.
And she was like buttering me up for 15 minutes, and then she goes, okay, so I'm hosting this event, and I need a performance from you. So what can you do for me? Like, what's your price like? And I was like, okay, is it a private event? She's like, yeah. Because I'm like, if it's public, then I won't charge, right? But if it's private, then I'm going to charge because private events, I can't take anybody to come with me to watch, right? It's for private entertainment. There's a different kind of scene. And then I was like, she was like, how much do you charge? And I was okay. I'm like, I just told her my regular price list. She's like, oh, come on, Anjali. She's like, we know each other now, right? Like, you know, I told you my daughter is your biggest fan and she really wants to see you perform. Like, you can do better for us. And she doesn't ask. She's like telling me, she's like, you can do better for us. And I'm like awkwardly laughing, like,
can I?
Like, I got to think about it. Like sometimes I go to, especially if I get stuck in this situation, I'm like, I have to think about it. And I was like, I remember I ran it by like my mom too. And I'm like, she's asking for so little. She was asking me for pretty much 50% of what I was asking.
Which is already probably not going to be a little crazy.
Like she was asking like a 50% off discount. Yeah. Because she's like, now we know each other because she spent 15 minutes buttering me up and because she knows me through mutuals. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, and then I had to text her. I'm like, it's not, you can look for someone else, but that's not happening. So it's again, the whole, like the bargaining, it's a little much. Like I bargain too, but this
depends on the situation, of course,
but it's just a bit much.
While we're still on like the whole pricing thing, one of the things I wanted to get off my chest was because right now I have trouble justifying the price, right? How do you actually justify a price? Because I've been doing videos for a while, so I understand how to do them. I know like the work that goes into them, and then I'm like, okay, I'll charge this much. But then I second guess myself. I'm like, is this too much? Is this too little?
Like, how do you justify the price to yourself or to others?
To like just putting an offer out there in general, because ideally I'd want to like go on the higher end so that there's like a bit of buffer, so I'm not underselling myself. But if I go on the higher end, I feel like I'm like doing something wrong, you know? Like it feels wrong for me to charge this much for whatever I'm offering.
Sorry, I didn't understand your question. Like, again, justifying
Yeah, like
yourself.
how do you like justify to yourself what your price is, and how do you like even how do you even calculate it?
I think, I don't know about your situation. I think for my situation, what I did is I kind of researched other studios in Edmonton and saw how much they charge. And then I would charge almost the same amount as like the cheapest studio or a little less.
Okay.
Just so you know, like then, somebody can come up to me and be like, you just started. Like especially when I started new, like they can be like, you just started, but you're charging more than this studio that's been functioning for 5 years. So why should I pay more and come to you who's starting new versus them?
Yeah.
So for me, I needed that leeway originally. So I'll be like, okay, well, I'm new and I'm cheaper, right? So it's gonna be better for your kids. But I feel like for you too, like again, like I think I've told you this, just like researching what other videographers charge, but also like if you need to justify it to yourself, sometimes just like sitting down and really like calculating how many hours of work you put into it. Like if I sat and calculated how many hours I spent making the choreography, then how many hours I spent teaching it, right? And then how long I take to edit music and then arrange costumes. Like if I calculate it and then I look at the price, I'm like, wow, I'm actually charging less than I should.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think like that's also another thing. It's more easier to calculate hours for video though, because you just you count how many hours you were actually actively filming,
Yeah.
and then how many hours you were editing for, and you combine it, and then you kind of do like girl math, and you divide how much you're charging them by the hour, and you're like, okay, technically you're paying me this many dollars per hour, which is like a pretty good deal, right? So
I guess the only thing I have like wrong with that is that I want to move to like the more client-based side of pricing, where it's like, how much is this actually going to be valuable? How valuable is this to the client at the end of the day? Like for example, if a client is rolling out a new product and they want a video to showcase the product, and the video helps the client get like 50 new customers, and the product sells for like $10 each. Technically, that video just made them $500. So even if it costs me like, let's say $100 to make, should I then be like charging the client $250?
you need to realize you're a videographer. You're not their marketing director.
That's a good point.
You're making the video. That's your job. Your job ends there. After that, what they do with the video is up to them. The video is not going to be the only determining factor. Whoever's in charge of their social media, like they're going to post it, they'll be in charge of I know you post it sometimes, but they'll be in charge of like the hashtags, who to tag, when to post it, what day to post it, what time to post it, right? Then they're going to be more responsible for reach, and then therefore client, like how much the client's going to get value from it.
Yeah.
So I think for you, it's kind of a slippery slope, because I think you're kind of mixing your responsibilities, and you're thinking you're responsible for their success, but your job's supposed to end, and you need to be clear with your clients. Your job is supposed to end like, I'm a video guy, I'm making the video for you, and you ask them what video they want. You make that type of video they want. As long as they like it and that's exactly what they wanted, your job's done.
That's true. Yeah.
Because so what if a client came up to you and they're like, I'm about to sell this and I want this style of video, and they show you like an example. Then you generate an edit, then you send it to them and they're like, can you fix this? And then you fix it. And then you send it again and they're like, one more thing to fix. You fix it, you send it to them and they're like, perfect. After that, however the video does, that's on them, because they're the one who had the idea of having that video in that specific style, right? They're the one that's going to post it. So they feel like that's how they're going to be. If you were hired as someone's marketing director, right? Like you were in charge of content creation, and like they've made it clear in a contract, like you should be like an employee under the business pretty much, that you are in charge of video creation, and they tell you that you're responsible for increasing our reach, then yes.
Yeah.
But videographers usually don't do that unless you like specifically want that role.
Right.
So it's like like a lot of videographers, they take that random videos, right? Like wedding videography. Like you're not gaining any like clientele for the aesthetics, or like fashion videography, product videography, nature, lifestyle, all of that. So
I feel like this become like a help session. What was the next question? Because we probably should move on to like some of the other,
that was a big one though.
yeah, like the wider topics when it comes to doing a side hustle in general.
So the next topic is about community dynamics. Okay. They see communities often thrive on word of mouth and personal connections. Have these dynamics helped or hindered your ability to grow your side hustle? So I'll start. I can answer this pretty quickly. Well, I don't know about quickly, but I can answer pretty. I can think of an answer quickly. I think both, right? A lot of like it's helpful because a lot of Indians and whatever Desis in general, they know other Desis, and I've had a good number of like students come to me just strictly by word of mouth, not even by like marketing, social media, nothing, just word of mouth. So that's very helpful, and it's nice that everyone's connected. You can go to an event, you show a performance, right? And then one person will like it, they'll send their kid, and then suddenly their kid, when they perform, the person who sent their kid, they're gonna be like, wow, that was a great performance. And then their friends will see, and then they'll, it's kind of like
chain reaction, yeah.
So there's a good thing about like working in the Desi community, and not just Desi, like in general, it's just a cultural community. But I've also experienced hindered where there are select, and it's not a lot, but there's select Desis that like to gatekeep. Like gatekeep, if they like a dance teacher, and I don't have this much anymore, but if they really like a dance teacher, but there's like competition, they don't want this auntie to know about it because they don't want her daughter to join and mess up your own daughter's performance or compete, like, or maybe your daughter doesn't like this other friend, and but all this like this drama.
Yeah.
But they tend to gatekeep. Like I know I've taught dance to like some parents who have like huge networks, and I've taught dance to parents who have a lot small networks, and the parents that have small networks usually are the ones that actually get me more students. The ones with large networks, ironically, never get me more students, and it's because they never refer me. And I'm like, okay, if you're not referring me, does that mean you don't like me? But at the same time, you're sending your kid to me for like the past 2 years. So they're like, there's no way.
Yeah.
So there is a little bit of that gatekeeping. It
might just be like people that have big networks, just they have very particular things that they refer people for.
I don't know. Like I one time I've heard for a fact that somebody was gatekeeping. Like I discovered that because they admitted it. Because they were like, I don't want to tell her about you because we want to keep you all for ourselves. They literally said that to me as a joke, and I was like,
well,
I'm like, I don't know if I should feel flattered or if I should feel a little bit like
help me out here, yeah.
Like referring can help so much.
Because word of mouth is the best form of advertising. Like that's the whole reason Costco doesn't advertise. They just have word of mouth. People talk about Costco, how good it is, and everyone else just goes to Costco because of that. It's tough getting word of mouth though. Like naturally, it's just it takes time. It takes time and takes a lot of just dedication, and then people eventually see how good you are, and then they start referring you.
Yeah.
And maybe like sometimes the services people don't refer just because they don't know anybody that needs it. Like for the dance thing, they're not going to refer you to people that don't have children.
Yeah.
Right. So it depends on the type of thing you're offering as well.
It also depends on like the occupation of the person. I've noticed like people who referred me a lot were always for some reason like people who were in like the beauty industry, like estheticians.
Okay.
So like students of mine whose mothers are estheticians, they really tended to refer me a lot. And I think it's because they see a lot of clients themselves, and then they tell their clients if their clients ask like, do you know any dance teachers? So it also depends on the occupation, right? If somebody's like working from home, for instance, like they have a work from home kind of job, they're less likely to get word of mouth references from them, because like how often are they going out enough and talking enough to even bring up topic of like videography or something?
That's true.
So
as far as word of mouth, like I don't think I haven't gone to the stage where I can generate word of mouth yet, just because I have very limited projects. I think there is a way you can get around that though, and that's by creating your own word of mouth. What I mean by that is, like, I was pretty frustrated for a bit just because like I wasn't getting projects. I was getting busy with school, and then I was like, I just want to make videos, right? So what I ended up doing was I just called like some local restaurants, and very luckily the first local restaurant I called, they're like, sure, we want a video. So I did it for free at first, just because like I kind of just wanted to make more videos. I was like that itch you have where you just want to make a video, or like you want to do something that you like doing and you don't care if it's for free or whatever. So I just wanted to make a video. So I did it for the restaurant. They liked it. I did 3 more videos for them, got paid for it. It was great. And then I I literally just walked to the next restaurant like down the road. I was like, hey, I just made this for this guy. You want as well? I'm like, yep. And now long-term client. So even though you haven't had word of mouth with the people that you worked with, you can kind of go out there and do outreach and generate your own word of mouth that way. Just say, this is what I've done. If you like it, then let's do it. Let's do a project together. I'm not going to say the same thing as word of mouth, but it's has the same effect. You're kind of referring yourself, and obviously don't lie about anything. But I was just very honest. I was like, I showed them that I work, they liked it, and then we went from there.
It's pretty good.
I think I realized I'm kind of an introvert because like it took me a long time to actually pick up the phone and just call somebody and be like, I want to do this for you. Can I do this for you?
Well, I think you need to take initiative though. Like if you can't generate the word of mouth, you do it yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
like I'm like a kind of weird mix between introvert and extrovert.
You're ambivert.
Yeah, I'm like a high activation energy extrovert.
Mm-hmm.
Like it takes a lot to get me out, but once I'm out, I'm fine. Like I'm okay with public speaking. I'm okay with like talking in front of a crowd, but I wouldn't sign up for it just randomly. You know what I mean? So it was the same thing with a phone call. It took a lot of time for me to actually like get off my butt and make the phone call. But once I made the phone call, it was like it felt natural. It's like going to the gym.
It's like going to the You ready for the next topic?
I'm ready, yeah.
Okay. Support versus skepticism. Skepticism. Yeah. Have you received more encouragement or doubt from fellow Desis when promoting your side hustle? How has their reaction influenced your confidence in the side hustle or project?
For this one, for you, I think it's a mix of both, like most things. For me, it's still early, but I think it's been mostly support for me. Just because like I haven't told many people about it, first of all. Like I don't go out promoting my videography thing. Maybe that's an issue with me personally. Maybe I just have to get more comfortable with saying like, this is what I do. Mm-hmm. And even though I'm charging, like I guess I have this internal bias where it's like I'm charging money for it, so it feels kind of icky to promote it. But I don't think that doesn't make sense.
There's no harm in telling people like, hey, how's it going? Also, by the way, I do videography. It's like a conversation starter, right?
Yeah.
Whether they want to do it or not, as long as you're not like forcing them like at gunpoint. You're like,
I would never dream of doing that. Like that would be so awkward and so icky. But for me, it's like whoever I have told, and I'm mostly just told friends, and they've been very supportive, and I just love that aspect.
What about the Desi community though?
I don't think they know enough about.
They
know enough about me. Yeah, I need to get out there more. Specifically, Desi's not enough data for that.
Okay, so the question was specific to Desi's though. So
I offered what I could, yeah, but not enough with the Desi specifically. But for you, let's hear it.
It's not much. I mean, it's mixed, like there's support and there's not support. There's support there's like a good handful of supportive people in the community, right? Like there's some community, like Indian community groups in Edmonton. I won't name everything, but like in groups, and members in the groups very supportive. Parents of my current students also very supportive. In terms of not supportive, I think in the beginning, yes. But it's the same old thing. Like she's young. Does she even know anything about dance?
Yeah.
They're more likely to send their kids to someone who's like 70, 60, because they're older, so it equals to more experience and therefore better for our children. So that's where I didn't have much support, because they're like, she's young, what does she know, right? Like my kid can just watch YouTube and learn it themselves, which is great. Go for it. It's just like that's where I didn't receive support. And then I don't know, I think, can I say like the whole competitive nature in Edmonton is just really unsupportive? Would that count in this question?
Well, go on with like what you mean by that. In what context?
Like in the sense, like there are supportive people that bring you up, but then there's also like supportive like experiences and moments that really bring people down when they're trying to do side hustles. I think the biggest thing, and it applies for videography and dance, is like just the competitive nature. Like there's some very supportive groups in Edmonton, like in the dance community, but there's also a lot of like competitiveness, which is very clear. Like it's very, very evident. but it's kind of like under the wraps. Like it's kind of like everyone sees it, but they're blind to it.
Yeah.
Like they see it, but they choose to be blind to it.
Mhm.
And I feel like it's not spoken about enough. And it's like what I was telling you before we filmed the podcast. Like it's frustrating because everyone has a common goal. Like all the dance instructors, all the dancers, all the studios, anybody involved in dance, they have the common goal, right? Like learn dance, perform, appreciate dance, can be connected to your culture, right? Teach dance to everyone, get more people in the community. That's like, and there is like yeah, like should I give a shout out to like a good group?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I was like, can I like actually name drop a group? So like one group I think that's doing like a very good job about that is Amit, right? Amit owns he owns a group Mahal, and I've gone to like a few sessions and I should be going to more, but which I will. But Amit is doing a very good job because I think honestly he's the first person I've met in the dance community in Edmonton who sees things that I've also noticed, and he actually actively works on fixing it. Right? Like I've talked to him, and he notices that there's a divide in the community, and that divide, instead of being supportive, it kind of brings the community down. It's like having multiple different groups all doing the same thing, but they're fighting each other rather than working with each other.
Yeah.
Like I understand there's a whole business side to it. Like yes, you have to make your own money, you need to have your own clientele, but there needs to be some sort of collaboration. So one really good thing that he does with his group is he's trying to tackle this by bringing people from different studios and different dancers and different, dance styles and putting it all under one roof. And he's still in the process of trying to do that. And I know it's not easy for him. So that's like a shout out I'll give because he's doing a very good job. And I know he aligns, like I align with his opinions in that sense. But still, like there is this problem, especially in the community in Edmonton, of the competitiveness. And it's getting a little better. Like I found it really nice just recently. I took my studio for a competition, and it was such a good feeling because this other studio, and like studio owners can see each other as like competitors, and this was so like this warmed my heart so much. This other studio, their owner, like I don't know if I told you this, their main owner, she messaged me like months before the competition and sent me the poster, and she was like, hey Anjali, this competition's coming up, I'm bringing my studio, are you bringing yours?
So right? She brought the opportunity to you, just brought to your attention.
Yeah, like she was taking her studio, and it was so sweet, and I was so happy. I remember I saw the message, it just, I don't know why it made me so happy. I was like, this is so sweet because this is exactly what I want, right? Like yes, she's teaching students, I teach students too, studios. I've had a student of mine go to her studio, and I've had maybe a student of hers come to my studio. There's all of that happens. There's a lot of mixing around and everything. But past that, as a dancer, I think we both have mutual respect towards each other and our efforts in studio because we know what the hustle is.
Yeah.
And it was really nice to see her, like, that's called support, where it's like, she saw an opportunity, she's taking her studio amazing. And then she was like, hey, you know what? Like, I really would love to see you there too. Here's the poster in case you missed it. Right. So that was nice. And before that, I collaborated with her because I was taking a bunch of groups for this performance, and I reached out to her similarly, like she did to me later on, before she texted me, like this is in the summer. And, I was like, hey, this is a really great performance opportunity. I'm taking my studio and I'm organizing a bunch of other groups, and I'd love your studio to come.
Right.
So that's like what we need.
Yeah, we need more of that.
That's supportive in the Desi community. But there's the whole like putting each other down, and it's like
assuming it's like a zero-sum game. It's like whatever I get is somebody else's loss, and whatever somebody else's loss is my gain.
Yeah.
It's like assuming that there is only a limited amount of whatever there is to go around, when in reality you can generate value, you can create more than there already was. So yeah, by bringing you to this competition and then bringing herself to the competition, now there's like two performances in this competition.
So it's not technically, she could have thought, right? She was like, I don't want to tell anyone, but she could have thought like, I don't want to tell anyone because now I'm increasing the number of teams in the competition, and that's going to decrease the chance of my studio to win.
Mm-hmm.
But that was nice because it's like, it's all fair. We're all dancing. Let's all just come together under one roof and perform and support each other. So that's like a thing. Like when we went to the competition, one thing I like teach my students, I'm trying to teach my students, like it's hard because everyone, like, you have a little bit of competitiveness in you, which is good. It should be healthy competition, but not like healthy competition in the sense that you compete with yourself. As a dancer or dance instructor, you're like, I want to get better. No, I want to get better than them.
Yeah.
And I know I can. And same thing in your situation too, right? Like as a videographer, instead of comparing, it's like, I want to get better from where I was a month ago. So
it's always going to be that level of comparison, because there's no like videography competitions the same way there are dance competitions. And there's like, sure, there's video studios, but you'll be surprised how many times they work together. Like collaboration is almost like the norm. So if you're just doing a solo project, that's considered like almost like an exception. So I like that about the videography community. And also people are just like, I don't want to say it, but like everyone's kind of like a nerd with the camera.
Yeah, that's true.
We just like videos. We just like making videos. We like talking about cameras. We like talking about the new camera that's out there. And then when we get together, we just take videos and put them together into like some kind of edit.
But there's still competition in photography and videography.
100%.
Like I've seen it.
100%.
I'm not in it properly, but like, I know enough people to hear about it where there's people putting each other down. It's like when I do modeling, right? If I go to like a photo studio, like I'll go to one photographer and he will bad talk another one, right? And then you go to another photographer, he'll go bad talk another one. And similar to dance, right? Sometimes they do bad talk other studios to like their students, especially.
Yeah.
And that's not a good thing. Like it's just, again, like I'm calling someone out, but not really, I'm not saying their name, but like she posted something recently and she said, if you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, if you don't have anything nice to say, like if I'm talking to parents and I'm bad talking another studio, that's not right.
Yeah.
But this competitiveness in general, especially in dance or even in videography, I think it's very fueled by the clients. Like you might not want to, like you're resisting it, but it's like your students, your dancers under your wing, right? They start kind of fueling it because then there's all these threats then. Oh, if you don't, you have to get better because I'm going to move my kid to the studio, or I'm going to move my kid to the studio, or they'll be like, did you hear the studio's like doing this, and then it starts making it's like instigating kind of.
At the end of the day, it's like you got to decide which level of the game you're playing at. You can either play that lower level of the game where it's like, all right, I'm going to optimize for as much money as possible. I'm going to do all these shortcuts and all these bad things to get the money. Or are you going to play the level of the game where it's like, I'm doing this because I like dancing or I like making videos. I want to keep doing this. And even if I don't make a living off of it, because full disclosure, these are side hustles. I don't expect to be making a living off of making videos. I'd be happy to even break even. It might take a while, but I'd be happy to even do that. So you gotta, if you're not making a living off of this anyways and you're not planning to, you gotta either ask yourself, am I gonna play this like low level profit game, or am I gonna play this high level, let's just make good stuff game? Make good dances, make good videos, have fun making them, right? Yeah. And there's obviously gonna be more money in one strategy versus the other. So
like at the end of the day, it is a business, but
there's levels to it, right? Like it's not like again, the reason I bring up we're not making a living off of this is because once you do start making a living off of your side hustle, a whole lot of pressures.
There's a lot of pressure, yeah.
You're trying to pay bills, you're trying to like get new clients, you're trying to keep your old clients happy. It's a different game entirely.
But I feel like it should be to the point like, everyone's different. There's no two people who are the exact same. That's in like your skills in videography. No one can absolutely replicate your videography. No one can replicate anybody's videography like to the dot, right? Because it's unique to you. Similar to my dance, like I've learned dances from different instructors, combined it together with all these other aspects, and I learned dance and my dance skills and the way I teach it very unique to me. But I feel like it should be like there should be this level of comfort in the community, especially in the Desi community and amongst people who are doing side hustles in the same field, where it's like if a parent comes up to me and tells me, like it's just not working out, like I don't think my kid like wants to continue dancing here, or maybe the timings aren't working out, or they just genuinely don't like the dance class, it should be comfortable enough for me to be like, I understand. Maybe my style of teaching wasn't something that your child liked, or my style of working isn't something you like, but it should be comfortable so that I can be like, you know what? I'll be happy to provide you recommendations for other dance studios who I know personally who might better fit your, right? Because it's like, or else you're just fully losing a dancer. That student might not even go anywhere in the first place.
That's true.
Right? It's the whole point is we want to keep people in Edmonton as a grand whole. Like if we combine all the students in every single studio in Edmonton, those are all the number of dancers of the future.
Yeah.
Right? You don't want them to drop out just because you're so competitive and you don't want to refer them to another studio. Then now you just lost a dancer, a potential dancer in Edmonton.
Yeah.
So similar with videography, right? Like somebody doesn't like your video and they're like, that's not the style I was looking for. I was looking for something more like, edited or more like retro themed. And you can be comfortable enough to be like, hey, I know this other dude and he does videography similar to what you're asking for. Let me send him over to you. Let me send you over to him.
Yeah.
And then you can expect the same thing vice versa, right? If that guy has someone who wants to be referred to someone else, then he can send that person to you instead. That way it's like, imagine you're juggling clients around, but the net effect is everyone's still benefiting
Exactly.
to a point.
It's going to be ups and downs, like with most things, but like the net effect is what you have to keep in mind at all times.
Yeah, because like if your main goal of a side hustle is just to make money, then you're not passionate about it.
Yeah.
Right? If you're passionate about videography and passionate about dance, if my goal was just to make dance, I will be competitive then. I mean, not just to make dance, just to make money, I'll be competitive then. Right? Then I'm going to be like, I want all the students for myself.
Yeah.
Because I'm passionate about dance and I want the dance community to grow, my goal is, create as many dancers of the future as I can.
Yeah.
And I'll try doing as much as I can under my wing. But it's hard to do. And the same thing for you, right? Like you want to have enough people interested in enough content creation, videography, and have good content just out there.
Yeah.
So
for the content thing, I don't know if I can make enough of an impact because there's just so much content out there that even if I do my best to make content that I think is, valuable and not just like clickbait or not just like, brain rot, even if I do that, I'm going to be overpowered by the brain rot that's already out there. So I've stopped thinking about that. I'm just like, if I'm going to be doing this, I might as well be doing it right. Which I think brings us to another topic I want to talk about, but I want to check if there's a...
I don't think we have time to do another topic.
Okay. How about we finish with like a lightning round? We have like 10 minutes left.
Okay.
Let's do like an actual advice, like some tangible advice that a veteran like you has and a newbie like me might...
We'll just go we'll do advice. How about we do this? Like one sentence advice, one sentence, one sentence, one sentence, one sentence, one sentence, one sentence.
And of course, the oldest, not
oldest,
age, not an age, the oldest in terms of like this experience should go first.
Okay, number 1, stand your ground. Don't get pushed over.
That's good. Number 2, pick a niche. Get very specific about what you do.
Number 3, get to know other people who share the same passion and side hustle as you.
That's good. Number 4, actually pick up the phone and make connections. Don't be afraid to, sell yourself to somebody else. The worst they can say is no.
You literally went over one sentence.
There's a comma. There's commas, a couple of semicolons. It was all one theme.
Okay. Number 5, don't be afraid to put yourself out there to make yourself known. Do you always say that?
I just said that. Like, don't be afraid to pick up the phone. You know what?
That kind of works. Both.
In what way were you thinking? Because I was thinking like actually like talking to one person and saying.
I was thinking more like in-person interactions.
Okay.
Okay. How about I'll reword it. Was that number 5? Number 4? Number 5.
5.
Number 5. Don't be afraid to tell people about your side hustle as you meet people in public for the first time.
That sounds good. Number 6. Do what you can with what you have before thinking you need to buy something special to make this thing work. Can I expand on that?
No.
No, that's enough.
Okay. Number 7, don't be afraid to take some risks.
Any specific kinds of risks?
I thought I was not allowing you to expand. Okay, I can expand.
I'm curious though, like...
Don't be afraid to take risks, like in terms of side hustle. So trying something new kind of thing. Because you never know, you might stand out and be unique if it works out.
That's a good one, actually. That's the first time I've heard that one. Number 8?
I don't know.
Whatever this one is.
8, yeah, I think.
I would say stay in your lane. That's different from when I said that's different from the niche thing. What I mean by stay in your lane is like, if you make videos, don't think you have to also make your own like website or something. You're allowed to ask for help or save up money to get somebody else to build a website for you. Although I am building my own website, but that's because I like programming as well. So don't do as I say, not as I do.
Okay, last one for me. Okay, number 9, be careful of what you say, comma. Don't say mean things about others if you don't want to hear the same thing back.
That's a good one. And number 10, last one for me as well. Have fun with what you're doing. Be grateful that you don't have to pay the bills with this side hustle. So make use of that freedom Sorry, it's longer than
That's a
sentence.
run-on sentence.
Okay. Have fun with what you're doing. You're not paying the bills. Make use of that.
See, that's good. Nice and brief and short.
Nice and brief. Nice and brief.
Okay, so wait, we're not going to pause anything yet. So that's all for our episode on side hustles in the Desi community. And I'm sure people will relate to a few things, and maybe we'll inspire people to actually start their own side hustles with the advice we gave. We might spring up more dancers and dance instructors or videographers, photographers. And so before we end the episode, should we like
We should.
Okay, but it's not set and confirmed yet, but we're gonna put it out there so people can start preparing, because I'm pretty like nailed on doing this event. So we might be having our very first Gup Shup event, inspired by our last few episodes.
Yeah, by one guest in particular.
By one guest in particular. No. So let me explain a little bit of background about it real quick, like where I was inspired for the idea and what we're thinking. So I was on, our favorite app, TikTok, and I thought I saw something very interesting and unique. So there's one thing I noticed is after our experience with our friend and just talking to other people in general, like Bhavya has friends, I have friends, the dating pool is just horrible right now for Desi people, right? Like we understand that it's hard to meet people, especially because COVID messed it up for our generation. And a lot of people didn't get the opportunity in undergrad to meet other people and, go on dates a lot. And there are a lot of singles out there, and they need this platform that's other than online dating.
Online dating, yeah.
So we are planning on doing a speed dating for Desis in Edmonton for the very first time, I think. I don't think I've seen it before in Edmonton. So it might be the very first time Edmonton has this. And let's go back to TikTok. I was also inspired because there is something similar like this that happens in BC, and it goes really well and people get to meet. So that's still in the works, but we are thinking hopefully it'll be in April.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we will update everyone. And
we
basically
get, some interest from it, like just knowing what the vibe is.
Yeah. So we'll only confirm if we see that there are people who are interested. Now, I know this is probably going to might feel like an awkward kind of event because, like it's new and Desis don't usually go on speed dating. But think of it this way, like through this process, you might also just meet friends that you've never met before. You also get to meet other Desis in the same age range. Speed dating usually happens for the older age range, but I think we will start off with a younger age range closer to our ages.
Yeah. So
you get the opportunity and everything will stay pretty private. So we won't take any content and your faces won't be we will take content, but your faces will not be shown if we do the event. And we'll keep it really small in the beginning. What else am I forgetting?
I think just like the general way it works, like people that haven't done speed dating before, what we're planning on doing is basically booking out a restaurant, and we fill the restaurant with equal number of guys and equal number of girls, because that's something I've noticed a lot of people talk about when they've done speed dating events, is that they'll mention, oh, there were like 10 guys and 2 girls. It's like, what are you supposed to do with that, right? So we're actually trying to make sure it's like even number of guys and even number of girls. And it's basically like you get to meet a bunch of people in like controlled fashion. And so it's like flash meetings pretty much.
Yeah, like maybe like 10 minutes talk.
Yeah, 10 minutes talking.
We'll give icebreaker questions.
There's going to be food there because it's going to be at the restaurant, You can have sip some tea while you're doing all this. So it'll really be like a comfortable environment to get a lot of new connections and meet new people.
Yeah. And each person will also get like a little piece of paper, ideally. That's what we're plotting, where you have names of the people that you went on speed dates with. Then you can privately, confidential, like it'll be confidential. You can mark down your comments and whether you'd like to be connected. So there's no force. You're not forced to exchange any contact information or social media with them. And then you just hand it to us, and then we connect you with the person if you and the other person said that you would like to connect, and we connect you guys together.
Yeah. So basically it's very hands off. Like all you have to worry about is showing up, having fun, talking to people, and then everything that needs to happen behind the scenes gets handled behind the scenes. So,
plus we'll be there.
Yeah, we'll be there. We'll be monitoring. No. I'll be doing security. No.
So that's our main idea for our very first event. And we hope...
the title.
Oh, was it the swipe one?
There's 2 titles. Should we just workshop that right now anyways? Like see which one people like more?
No, I think we'll decide it.
Okay.
You know what? The title will be a surprise.
Yeah.
We'll keep it a surprise. But we want to gauge interest. So if you are interested in this type of event, what I will do is I'll post a poll and people can vote yes or no, because it'll be anonymous to other people. So other people can't see whether you voted except us. And then if we have at least 10 girls and 10 guys showing interest, the event will happen. And it will be fun.
It will.
Okay.
So that's all. Now we get back to the classic problem of how we end off.
I thought Part decided it for us. What was it again?
It was like
it's time to Gup Shup. No, it's time to Gup Shut Up. That sounds so harsh.
It does. It sounds like we're telling each other to shut up.
And if you have any questions about side hustles, you are welcome to DM us and we would be happy to answer if you need more advice or if you need elaboration on some pieces of advice.
Yep.
Okay. Great.
This is so dumb. We gotta find a better way to stop these episodes.